In this video, I'm sharing my picks for the superstars WWE should focus on as the future of the business. Today, we're just going to focus on the male side of the roster. Some of these wrestlers are already on the brink of greatness, while others are still climbing the ladder, but show huge potential. At the end of the video, I'll also mention two wrestlers who are often said to be the future of the business that I personally disagree with, and leave a comment with who you think should be given a big push over the next few years. I was impressed with Bron Breakker from the moment he first appeared in WWE. Even before I knew anything about him, he had my attention with those awesome power moves, that stiff looking clothesline, his scoop power slam, the overhead belly to belly suplex, and of course the Frankensteiner. We all know that one runs in his family. Speaking of his family, I think he would have been better off taking the Steiner surname. I have to admit, Bron Breakker's a pretty bad name. We all know the heritage of his family, and the fact that he looks so much like his dad and uncle, it was a big misstep by renaming him in my opinion. He is so explosive in the ring, and that does remind me a lot of Scott Steiner, especially when he was in his prime back in the mid-90s. He was called up to the main roster recently, and he's been on an absolute tear as a heel ever since he arrived. He feels genuinely threatening, a really believable heel, but I could also see him being a great babyface in the future as well. He actually managed to make his NXT tag team partner in Baron Corbin look entertaining, and Corbin is not a man that I'm usually entertained by. Breakker's got that magic combination of size, strength, ability and charisma. His promos are intense and really believable, and I genuinely believe he would tear my head off given the opportunity. He 100% could be the next big thing in WWE. I honestly thought that Gunther would end up getting buried in WWE. When he signed with them back in 2019, I had absolutely no faith that they'd know how to use him properly, but they've totally proved me wrong, and the man himself has been incredible this entire time. Gunther's been in WWE now for over 5 years, from NXT UK all the way to the main roster. He's provided consistently jaw-dropping performances. The quality of his in-ring work is just awesome. And he's one of those wrestlers who automatically elevates anyone else he's in the ring with. For example, his match with Sheamus at Clash at the Castle 2022 was one of my favourite matches of the entire year, and Sheamus has never been a wrestler that I personally rate, but that match was exceptional. What makes Gunther so good though, apart from his in-ring ability? Well, he's a believable, no-nonsense, imposing heel. Also, you can't deny that Imperium have one of the sickest entrances in the business. But most importantly, Gunther can adapt to working with anyone, and I think that's an underrated quality for a main event heel. They've obviously got a lot of faith in him after his incredible Intercontinental title reign, and now he's King of the Ring too. It looks like Gunther is poised for greatness in the next couple of years, and I'm looking forward to him winning his first World Championship. For Otis, his journey in WWE has been a rocky one, and I think the guy is massively underrated. He first appeared in NXT alongside Tucker Knight as Heavy Machinery, and man, did he catch my attention with those power moves. Even in that tag team, it was clear that he was the real star. I've been a fan of big dudes with power moves ever since I first saw Vader, so naturally I'm a big fan of Otis too. When he came up to the main roster, things were pretty steady for a while. His storyline with Mandy Rose kept him in the spotlight. Then came that unexpected win at Money in the Bank, which seemed to set up a major push for him. But then he lost the briefcase to The Miz, and that seemed to put a stop to his momentum. And then they started booking him as a comedy character. He was obviously a victim to Vince's brain-dead booking decisions in 2020, and since then he's been in Alpha Academy with Chad Gable, which has had its moments, But honestly, I find this kind of comedy to be really cringe, and it's a shame because Otis is hugely charismatic and he's got a really down-to-earth and relatable persona that seems to be genuine, and the fans seem to really love him too. Otis deserves to be treated so much better. I think he has the potential to be a great, sympathetic babyface in WWE. It looks like they're teasing a split between the Alpha Academy right now, and once Otis is done beating the snot out of Gable, I want to see him getting a big push on his own. There are some wrestlers who make suspending your disbelief really easy, and Ilya Dragunov is one of them. His wrestling is incredibly tight. Nobody in WWE is as good at making me believe that what I'm watching is real. I said earlier that Gunther has the ability to elevate anyone that he's in the ring with, and that's exactly the case with Dragunov too. In fact, these two had absolutely barn-burning matches against each other in NXT UK, and it would be great to see them wrestle again on an even bigger stage. If you're on the fence about Dragunov and how far he can go, then check out those matches and the matches he had against Dijak in NXT, and more recently his matches against Ricochet on Raw. That believability that I spoke about earlier also extends to Dragunov's character. I think his promos are so intense, and I believe everything that he says. For me, he's got the complete package of charisma, in-ring skill, and a compelling character, and I really hope that they push him to the moon over the next few years. Dragunov also had an amazing feud with Carmelo Hayes back in 2023, where they had a trilogy of matches that were absolute fire, and that was as much to do with Carmelo Hayes as it was Dragunov. Since his debut, Melo has consistently proven his star power. His run in NXT was phenomenal, where he became the NXT champion and a two-time North American champion. His main event matches in NXT have proven that he can shine in huge match situations. Melo came up to the main roster very recently in the draft, and the fact that he was booked to face Cody Rhodes immediately speaks volumes about WWE's faith in him. I have heard some concerns about his size, but I don't think that will be a problem in modern day WWE. Under Vince McMahon, his size might have been a disadvantage, but I think Triple H is more focused on in-ring talent, and I tell you what Vince did used to appreciate, and that's someone who could cut a convincing promo. Melo turned heel earlier this year, and he instantly proved that he can play either side of the coin brilliantly. He makes a good babyface and a really good heel too. Melo's charisma is undeniable, he looks like a superstar, and I think he could go all the way to the top in WWE. So they're my picks for who I think WWE should be betting on for the future of the business. As promised, I wanted to just mention a couple of players who I think should be demoted rather than pushed. Austin Theory is the first person I'd like to mention. He was getting a big push at one time, and by that I mean he was getting pushed down our throats. To me, Theory doesn't look like the future of WWE. He's got a really bland presentation. I heard somebody say that it's like he's an actor playing a wrestler, and that really sums him up in my opinion. He doesn't have the kind of charisma to truly connect with fans, and I find him to be very generic, from his wrestling style to his promos too. Vince pushed him really hard, and he had that on-screen association with Vince too, which did him absolutely no favours whatsoever. Thankfully, his role in the company has been scaled right back over the last few months, so let's just hope he doesn't get another big push anytime soon. The other guy that I wanted to mention might be a little bit more controversial, and that's LA Knight. I just don't think he has enough about him to be a main eventer in WWE. I don't hate him, but I don't see what the fuss is all about either. I mean, people were making comparisons between him and The Rock at one point, which to me is total madness. He was given a main event push at the end of 2023, but then WWE cooled off on him Although to be fair, he was over with a lot of fans at the time, so it is just my opinion personally that I don't think he has what it takes to be a main event superstar. Tell me what you think of my list down in the comments and let me know your picks for the future of WWE.